Well, Stan, you mentioned something I think is a really interesting point. The how many members should be on a committee? So,
well,
three
it's
units,
the thing
and
is, I'm a big believer in team. So every position, there's more than one people. Yeah. So that's the thing. I believe for the charter, you require 3, but 5 would be the minimum, in my opinion. And maybe even, I would say every department should have somebody leading it with somebody following within that team.
Okay, I'm going to stop you there because
I've seen ranges from a committee that's just a few members.
Mike, stop because I'm lost here in what you're talking about. I think I know what you're talking about, but for those that may not understand, let me see if I got this right. You're saying that we need 5 members in the committee to charter a unit, okay? Yeah. Which
there are some cases where they can get 3.
Okay,
that's
so let's
3 and
talk
3
about,
thing.
So people understand what those 5 positions are. The key 3 plus 2.
Right.
So, Mike, what are those?
Well, it'd be committee chair. It would be scoutmaster. It would be charter or grab, are the key 3.
Okay, and then the 2 others.
Honestly, I'm not sure. I would think.
You got to have your chair. You got to have a committee chair.
Well, I already mentioned that.
He's already mentioned that.
So, if I remember,
I would think at least one assistant scoutmaster. So I know of a very successful troop where they basically want to have a parent from every family on the committee, and I think that's great. That works well for them. And I'm also familiar with a troop that's the other end of the spectrum for committee size, and a troop that's right in the middle. So I'm just wondering what are the benefits of a large or small committee? I personally think that a lot of people involved to share the load, and when people are involved, then they help out.
Okay, so let me make sure I'm straight because I'm trying to help our audience stay here. Everybody's trying to throw in their opinion and story and stuff. So we need to have 5 minimum registered based on the unit.
Yeah, for the charter.
For the charter, okay? Yeah. So in all cases, we need a charter org rep, we need a unit leader, and we need a committee chair. Now,
those are the key 3.
Those are the key 3, but we still need 2 more in many cases. So like with Cub Scouts, we need a den leader.
Good idea. But they're not part of the committee. They're part of the scout facing.
Well, okay, but we're talking about what's required for chartering or leadership.
Chartering, yes.
Okay. And what's the 5th one, Nathan?
So that's it. It depends on how the committee wants to set it up. I recommend a finance chair just because you're going to have somebody who signs those paychecks, and it should not be your committee chair, and it should not be your charter. So finance is the one I would recommend. The other one I would recommend is a program chair. Just so that you have your program moving in the right direction. But some people choose membership. Some people choose camping. Advancement. I mean, it really depends on what the group wants to run. And going back to that, I am a big fan of the 5 is the minimum, but each one of them should have a group of people that are working with them just in case at some point they say, I can no longer do this because I have a 3-year-old, or I can no longer do this because of illness, or I am really fed up and burnt out because of work. That way somebody else can step in and know where the bodies are at, and know where the money is laying, or hidden or buried, or whatever you guys do with your money, and know where we're at in the scouting season. Because, we have your trajectory of what a scouting season looks like, you're in scouting. And if you don't know what the next season is, you'd be like a farmer stepping onto, a plot of land and going, oh, wait, there's this ground that's been tilled. What's the next step? And if you don't know, then there's no way you can get your crop in.
So, Bucky, you mentioned those 5 positions. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think of those 5 positions, only one is considered to be scout facing, only the unit leader. Is that correct?
No, actually, the committee chair is required to have YPTs. So is the charter org rep.
Well, I think
All
all
adult
registered
leaders,
adults,
yeah.
all registered adults are required
Mhm.
to have it. But at least in our unit, the ones that they consider scout facing, it's
Mhm.
I think it's only unit leader and assistant unit leader.
Mhm.
At least when I do the adult leader report.
Yeah,
Even though they all have safeguarding youth training.
Right.
In our unit, our committee chair is at every meeting, and so I would consider our committee chair to be, youth facing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I take the approach with my units that anyone who's registered is going to be youth facing because we're in this to serve the youth.
Yep.
And you know what? This is my pet peeve. I think we have way too many people that are involved in scouting that aren't serving youth. They're serving their own personal adult fantasies,
So
or whatever
true.
you want to call it. That, you know what? We need commissioners. We need administrators, but we have so many people that we're afraid to say thank you, but no thank you. We need people that are willing to work with
Lucky, you have so many pet peeves. You could have pet
I
peeves.
do.
Too.
I
mean,
well, I call them pet peeves only because I don't have a better word for it, but they're
I can think of words.
they're
I'm big scout-like, so I'm not gonna do that.
no. Hey, I call a pickle, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true, and that we appreciate that about you. So
Well, you do, but not a lot of people do. So I appreciate the kind words.
Well, here's another question. For recharter, many PACs move assistant and den leaders into committee member roles to check the box for 2 members, even though they're already actively participating in the committee.
Yeah,
that does happen. Sometimes you have to move people around just to get rechartered. But I personally believe that you should have as many teams working together. Even your committee chair should have a vice chair. Okay, there should be room enough to train somebody else so that if you can't make the meeting, there will be somebody there. Okay, that will pick up the ball and run with it. So it's important that not only the scoutmaster, but all the assistant scoutmasters, they can pick up where the scoutmaster left off. That's true for advancement. It's true for treasury, it's true for program. All of them need teams.
I'm playing devil's advocate, Stan. So in a troop or a pack of 12 kids and 12 parents, of which
that's 24 parents. Maybe.
No, there's a lot of single parents out there these days.
That's true. That's true.
So
there's parents that have grandparents and uncles that want to be involved. So,
absolutely. So I'm saying if you have 12 kids, you have 12 parents.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because there's some that you just don't want. Oh, there's Bucky again saying the things that shouldn't be said. There's some parents.
I always say Bucky said you're not allowed to be here.
I didn't say that.
I can always find a job for anyone.
Talk to Bucky about that one.
No, I said they shouldn't be there. I didn't say they're not allowed to be. So let's be clear on that. But
I can find a job for anybody, Bucky.
That's true.
You know what? A good leader will find a job for everybody. Okay?
Yeah.
The problem is many of the people don't like the job that you are fitting them for, so then they don't belong there.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, I've had my fair share of parents that it's like, oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they want to be.
And then there's some parents that plan every second of every day for everything that their child does, and they expect the troop to do the same.
Yeah.
So they can be a little too intense.
But back to,
I don't want both ways.
I don't want to dismiss Mike's question. I want to make sure we come back full circle on that.
Yeah.
Fact, for a small unit with 12 parents, now we're going to eliminate a third of them that they work, they travel for work, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. Mom's got 2 other kids that she's got to take care of. So that parent is not there. We have 8. Okay. If we have 5 mandatory positions or strongly, you might have 3 others. And let's face it, not every adult is meant to be a leader. They're like, just tell me, can I bring cookies for the snack. Great.
Exactly.
I think the key in a smaller unit is making sure that you have strong adults that understand we're working as a team. We each have our role, but when that role is gone, we all have to take in and fill in that position. Whereas larger units have the luxury of saying, you know what, we're going to train you. You can be a backup. You shadow me and such like that.
Right.
So that brings us back full circle to Mike's question of big unit, small unit. How do you define those?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That was it.
Oh, the definition of that, a small unit.
Yeah.
The national average is 7 scouts. I think that's been the national average since the beginning of scouting.
In a unit?
Yeah.
For pack and troop?
Yeah, I believe so. I'm not sure. That's information from a long time ago in the 70s.
I haven't looked in a couple months. I think that the average right now is setting around 10. I'm going to go look real quick. I think it's not a ton.
Mm-hmm. I remember I was in a small troop when I got my Eagle. I was in a troop of 6. So
these monster units that have 60 plus kids, they're the exception, not the rule.
Yeah, they are. In Europe, Mike told me over in Mike, if you get a chance, check out some of Mike's videos on YouTube.
Mark, big man in the woods.
Mark, excuse me. I keep saying I'm looking at Mike and I'm saying,
I thought it was your eyes.
Mark, over my friend across the pond. He said that they're only allowed to put 40 scouts in a troop.
Yeah.
So
I'm totally for that.
A waiting list after that. So
I vote that's the way we move in the US. Seriously.
That might be a big challenge.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's another comment. When knowledge, responsibilities, and relationships are intentionally shared, the unit becomes more resilient, adaptable, and capable of delivering scouting. Absolutely. I think that's a very thoughtful comment.
Very true.